Okay, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll be covering Module 21 of our fundamentals of digital marketing. Okay, we have 6 more modules to go. After this one, we have 5 more modules. So we are getting close to writing the fundamentals of digital marketing certification exam. Okay, so let's get into it. Start learning. This Module 21 has 3 lessons under it. Okay, lesson 1 is what is web analytics? Welcome to Introduction to Web Analytics. In this video, we'll be going over what web analytics is, a quick overview of the kinds of insights it can give you, and a taste for how to get started with analytics yourself. So what is web analytics exactly? It's all about using the data you can collect from your site to give you insights about your business. There are lots of web analytics tools out there, and they can do a variety of things. Since we are just getting started, we'll focus on the basics and talk about the ways analytics can help you, no matter which specific tool you use. Web analytics helps you by providing data. First, let's look at the different types. Okay, a metric is basically anything you can count. Unique visitors is a good example. Time spent on your site is another. If you sell things on your website, you can track how much money you are making, or how many of a certain product you are selling. Okay, so anything we can count is called metric. If your goal is to get people to read your website, you can track the number of times someone looked at a blog post on their, or the amount of time they spent on it. All of these things are metrics. Next, you generally analyze your metrics by using what are called dimensions. But let's come back to that in just a minute. When you are first starting out with analytics, you might feel like you are swimming in an ocean of metrics, but you quickly get used to having all this data. So what do you do with it? Well, you can use web analytics tools to learn more about your site visitors. Let's say someone places an order, downloads driving directions to your shop, fills out a contact form, or does something else that you want them to do when they are visiting your site. This is known as a conversion. Web analytics tools can tell you if the conversion rate or the amount of people that visit and then convert on one of your goals changes based on where they came from, whether they've been there before, or even the type of device they are using. So let's look at that last one. If you know which devices your site is working best and worst on, you can identify specific areas of strength to build on and areas that you would need to improve. You'll notice in that example that we were comparing metrics of conversions or conversion rates, but we were breaking it down by the device they used. The device data we are collected is called a dimension, and as promised, it's time to talk about those next. Generally, a dimension is any kind of data you can use to describe something you are tracking with words. Dimensions include things like the device type, what browsers visitors use, their geographic locations, and much, much more. By taking your metrics and slicing them with dimensions, you can find answers to very specific detailed business questions like which devices are people finding it easiest to convert on the goals of my site. And that's just one of many questions you can answer with web analytics. Want to know what time of day most people are visiting your site? Take your visitors metric and break that down by an hour of day dimension. How about finding out which marketing campaigns are making the most sales? Take your conversions metric and break it down by a campaign dimension. As you dive into your own web analytics reports, you'll be able to see all the metrics and dimensions being tracked, and you can combine them and slice and dice them to answer the questions you care most about. If you haven't started with analytics tool yet, you'll want to select and install one. Most have a pretty simple setup. First, you'll need to copy and paste some special code onto your web pages. Next, while these tools will track a lot of things on their own, you might want to configure them to track the specific things that are unique to your business and your goals. We hope you are getting excited about all the amazing insights you can get from web analytics tools. It's another important tool in your online arsenal, but if this seems like a lot to take in, don't worry. If you stick with us, we are going to cover all the terminology and the basics of how you can use web analytics to measure how you are doing with digital. We'll cover how to see whether visitors convert on your goals and how to find out which kinds of visitors perform better than others. On top of that, we'll even go into using analytics to measure and improve your paid and organic search engine campaigns. Okay, so let's check knowledge for lesson 1. Linda runs a guest house with a website where people can book their rooms online. She's been using web analytics to monitor how customers interact with her site. Linda uses the information to improve the site and the visitor's experience. Take a look at the following terms. Do you know what they mean in the web analytics world? Time spent on site, that's metric. Visitor's device type, as dimension. Visitor's location, as a dimension. Signing up to the newsletter, as a conversion. Okay, we move to lesson 2. Making web analytics work for you. In this video, we'll be going over how you can make web analytics work for you no matter what kind of business you own. You'll learn about how analytics helps you track and measure what visitors do on your site and use that information to help you achieve your business goals. So let's get started. Used properly, web analytics can become the foundation of the online portion of your business. That's because analytics can measure the performance of just about any kind of online marketing you decide to do, from search to display advertising, social to email, and everything in between. At the same time, analytics measures your website visitors across the entire digital customer journey, from the first time a person visits your site to the time they become a valuable repeat customer. To see how this all comes to life, let's look at an example. Say a guest house or bed and breakfast. One goal for a bed and breakfast is to have website visitors make a reservation online. After all, that's how they make money. Analytics can help measure how many reservations are being made, but it will also capture important insights about the things that lead up to and follow that reservation, all throughout the entire customer journey. So what exactly does that mean? Let's play out an example of the journey a customer goes through before they make a reservation. If you were looking for a guest house in, say, Cologne, Germany for a trip you'll be making 3 months from now, the first thing you might do is to go online and search for a term like guest houses in Cologne. After you search, you end up on a search results page, and from there you might spend some time clicking around on some guest house websites that interest you. You are in research mode. Once you are on a website, you might do any number of things like check out the daily rates, see what kinds of rooms are available, browse some reviews or testimonials to get a better idea of what the guest house is really like. You might even look at some pictures to get a sense of the place. At this point, you are probably not ready to actually book a reservation. You are still looking around, but you might decide that this one is on your short list, and you might even sign up to receive email updates from the guest house to make sure you don't miss out on any promotions. Now, 2 weeks later, what do you know? An email shows up in your inbox offering 10% off the normal rate for the same dates you were planning to travel. At this point, you've done quite a bit of research, but you haven't booked yet, and that email was just what you needed to make your decision. So you click on the email, go back to the website and make a reservation. The power of analytics is that it can help a business measure what's going on at every stage of that customer journey. Want to know how people are initially becoming aware of your business? It can tell you which search engines people are finding you on and which kinds of pages they are being sent to. It can then tell you if people are actually engaging with your business when they get to your site. For example, do they browse around and sign up for your email updates, or do they just click the back button in their browser and move on to the next option? Analytics can also measure whether people are converting on the goals you want to track. In an example, there were actually two. First, that email newsletter sign up, and second, the reservation itself. Analytics can tell us whether people are coming back and becoming repeat customers, and when properly set up, analytics can even tell us if those loyal customers are becoming our advocates. For example, are they sharing our content with others on social networks? A great way to turn analytics into a powerful tool that helps you understand how people use your site and improve accordingly is to set clear, specific, quantifiable goals at every stage of the customer journey. Then use analytics to measure your progress towards those goals and identify bottlenecks that are getting in the way of achieving them. For example, the guest house may have a goal of getting at least 50 reservations per month. Using analytics, they might find out that people are getting confused by their booking system, which is causing interested potential customers to abandon the website and probably book somewhere else. This isn't good news, of course, but it's great information. It identifies what needs to be fixed and hopefully drives a decision to spend some time and resources making the booking process quicker and easier. And that's the key. Data without action isn't going to help anyone. We've covered a lot of ground here, so let's recap. Analytics can become the foundation that measures and supports all your digital efforts. It can help you measure what's happening and understand the different stages of the online customer journey, highlighting things you are doing well and showing you where you need to improve. So set your goals, measure your progress, and then use your data to take your business to the next level. Linda's analytics data shows people unsubscribing for her newsletter after 2 weeks. These people also aren't booking rooms at her guest house. Linda gets some advice from her friends. Whose advice should she take? Okay, we move to the final lesson of Module 21. We are making progress. So the final lesson talks about tracking specific goals with web analytics. Web analytics tools can give you a mountain of data straight out of the box, and that's a great opportunity for businesses. But in order to really make use of all that data, it's important to make sure you are measuring progress toward your own particular goal. That means you'll want to customize your analytics a bit to make sure you are tracking things that really matter to you. Seeing some examples of goals and conversions and looking at why it's important to create them will help you figure out what yours should be. So you've taken your business online for a reason, right? Well, just about anything you hope to achieve with your website can be tracked and measured with web analytics as a goal you hope to achieve. Conversion is the word commonly used to describe what happens when a website visitor completes a goal. And by now, you know that web analytics tools have the ability to break down loads of data about your visitors and what's happening on your site to give you information that can help you get more of those conversions. Let's use the example of a guest house to see just how important goals and tracking conversions can be. Say you sign into your web analytics tool and start looking at numbers. First, you notice that the guest house website had 10,000 visitors last month. You compare that number to the past and see that your visitor count is up from 5,000 during the same month last year. Great, right? Well, not necessarily. Visits alone don't help your business move forward. And without understanding the value of those visits, it's really hard to figure out what to do with this information. So let's try to figure out a little more about the value of those visits. Maybe you look at some reports and notice that the average visitor spends 2 minutes on your site, about the same as last year. We are starting to learn a little more, but we are still not really getting to the business value of those visits. Is 2 minutes enough time to make a valuable visit? Is it too little? The truth is that we don't know. Just looking at stats like this really limits our ability to make any decisions. What we need is data that can very clearly show the value of these visits to the business. With that data, you can start to really use your web analytics tools to show you things you can do to constantly improve. And that brings us back to the very basics of what it is we want to achieve online. One reason you will create a website for a guest house is so that people could reserve a room online. So a completed reservation is definitely a goal that you want your analytics tool to be tracking. That's one down. But what other goals might your guest house have? What else can people do that is valuable to your business? Well, maybe you want people to know where to find you. How would you set up an analytics tool to measure that? Well, maybe visiting the page on your site with a map and directions would be something you could consider a goal and configure that as a conversion. Or maybe you want people to sign up for your email newsletter so that you can send them special offers and keep them up to date with improvements you are making. If they sign up, they are signaling that they are interested in your guest house and giving you an opportunity to reach them. So that's really valuable. And that means completing the sign-up form could be another goal that you track. There are all kinds of goals you can find that can be tracked as conversions inside web analytics and show you the real value of what's happening on your site. Once you've figured out your goals, you will need to configure them in your web analytics tool. While the processes for doing that can vary, is usually pretty painless. Once it is done, looking at the reports in your web analytics tool becomes much more productive. Instead of simply looking at how many visitors you've gotten or how long they spend on your site, you can start seeing reports showing the things you actually care about. Like maybe only 2% of your visitors coming from social media sites are signing up for your email newsletter. So what can you do? How about putting out some social media posts offering a 10% off coupon when people sign up for the email newsletter? Or maybe you find out that your reservation rate jumps from 3% to 6% on weekends. Your next step, you adjust your advertising campaigns to advertise more heavily over the weekend when people are more likely to take action. If you are thinking this is all starting to come together, then you are getting the hang of what web analytics tools can do for you. Just remember, you'll get the most out of these tools when you use them to measure your specific goals. Now go forth and analyze. Okay, let's do a knowledge check for the final lesson of this module. Linda runs a guest house and has been using analytics to gather information about how people interact with her site. She's recently revamped her newsletter and has made the site responsive to appeal to users on mobile devices. Which elements of the analytics should Linda focus on to measure the effectiveness of her changes? Okay, let's do a topic assessment. Fill in the blank. Website analytics can tell you what type, what time of day your website gets the most traffic, how many mentions you get, how well your content email addresses. Analytics can give you immediate valuable information about which type of customers. If your key business goal is to get people to book rooms at your guest house, what data are you most likely to be interested in? If your key business goal is to get people to book rooms at your guest house, what data are you most likely to be interested in? How long people spend on your how to find us page? Which day of the week is most popular for bookings? How many people visit your site? Okay. How many visit your site? Okay. So the answers are correct. One of the answers is wrong. Data you most likely to be interested in. Definitely not B and C. Okay. Which day of the week is most? Okay, so that's it for module 21. We'll see you again in the next video, which will be on module 22. Don't forget, this video is brought to you by Just Breed Digital Marketing Academy, and my name is Moses Alabi Isama.